Hey YouTube, Gordon Miller here. Okay, we're continuing the mentor series, and what I want to do now is I want to focus on someone who, as I was building my academic career, someone who really was instrumental in helping me establish myself in that capacity, and that would be Dr. Ron Kriz. Uh, Dr. Kriz was founder of the Lab for Scientific Visual Analysis. He had gotten an NSF grant and money from the university to start his own lab. And he was focusing on using Sun Microsystems machines and Silicon Graphics Power Challenge machines and a bunch of other machines to do scientific visualization of volume data, volume visualization. His particular area was engineering, science, and mechanics, and he was doing fiber fracture simulation type things for turbine fan blades for like Pratt and Whitney and a bunch of the other folks like that. So it was a great lab, and he took notice of some of the stuff that I was doing in architecture with the architecture lab that I had set up there. And we were doing multimedia work and working on multimedia instruction and things like that. And so he said, "Look, I'd like to do some multimedia. I'd like to do it. I'd like to have the students do it in my lab." And so Ron, pitched the idea to me of doing this, team teaching thing. He goes, "I'd like to teach visualization techniques," and he goes, "I'd like you to teach multimedia techniques to my students." And I was like, "Okay." And so they, in my senior year, or my last year of my graduate program, they set up a semester where Ron and I were team teaching this class. So I was teaching it as a graduate student. I was 26 at the time. And so actually, so it was what? I was 20, I guess I was 20, yeah, 26. Almost 27. But so anyway, he wanted to teach this 8 o'clock class because Ron had a son, and so he liked to get things out of the way so that he could have the whole rest of his day free. And I was 26. I was like, man, I'm like, don't get up till noon. So unless I'm forced to. So he's like, well, this class is at 8 o'clock. So, if you can get up and be there and be productive, he goes, out of the 16-week class, you take 8 weeks and I'll take 8 weeks. And I'm like, okay, that sounds fine. So we did it, and it was great. It was a huge success. And, I would say about a week or two into the process, Ron comes to me and he goes, hey, look, he goes, I'm going to do something that I said I'd never do, but I'm reconsidering it. I'm thinking about doing it. And I was like, what's that? He goes, I'd like to make you co-founder of the Lab for Scientific Visual Analysis. And I'm like, wow, okay. I mean, this is your lab though. I mean, you started it and this is your idea. He goes, yeah, it is. But, you're putting a lot of effort into this to make what I want to do successful. And so, in academia, you won't get the chance to do the kind of things that you want to do unless you get the recognition for your contribution in some kind of real concrete way. And I was like, okay, well, great. I accept. Thank you. And, so later on in 1991, the Chronicle of Higher Education in Virginia, or Chronicle of Higher Education, the magazine, had featured us on the cover. We were one of the very first classes in the country to require a multimedia presentation as part of an engineering assignment. And you only got one grade in our class. That was the final grade. And you either got it or you didn't. And it wasn't necessarily pass fail. Some people got A's, some people got B's. But these were master's and PhD students, most of which were older than me, which I thought was kind of interesting. So here I am, 26 or 27, and I'm teaching kids that I'm teaching people that are in their 30s, and they're looking to me for the solutions and things like that. So it was an interesting experience. But I I credit Ron with a couple of things. So Ron Kriz taught me to cover my ass in emails because the university would, constantly, look to screw you one way or the other. And so it was a great way to be able to say, okay, well, I have this email that I sent you that says this. So, and so that was a great, thing for me, was learning what the process was. And so I appreciate that, Ron. I've always appreciated the fact that you gave me the opportunity, which I frankly acknowledge that I didn't really deserve, to co-found the lab for scientific visual analysis. I mean, I founded the architecture lab during my time as a graduate student, and co-founding the lab that had National Science Foundation funding with the Lab for Scientific Visual Analysis was a phenomenal opportunity. And I will say that it actually led to the offer from the Dean of the College of Engineering, Wayne Clough, to offer me my own lab in 1991, where he's like, look, we love what you're doing. We don't want you to go anywhere. We'd love you to keep doing what you're doing right here. So, we'll give you all this money and responsibility, and, we'll look forward to great things to come. And, so that's how that went. And I'll talk more about, the offer from Wayne Clough next in his video. But for Ron knew that that there were opportunities like that. And in fact, Ron told me years later that, I think it was probably at least 10 years after I left the university, and I was talking with Ron, and he goes, they offered me the opportunity to do the multimedia lab at Virginia Tech. And I go, yeah, I figured as much. And he goes, I turned it down. He goes, I recommended you. And because you were already co-founder for this lab, it was an opportunity for you to no longer be associated with my lab. So I get my lab back and you get your own lab. And so I thought it was hilarious because it was, which I don't know if Ron really kind of thought that through at the beginning or not, but it was funny because it was like, okay, Ron, I appreciate that. And so I resigned as my position as co-founder for the Lab for Scientific Visual Analysis. And I became the director of the Multimedia Lab, a founder of the Multimedia Lab. And I did my own thing. And our labs were right next door to one another. So the kids would use both labs all the time. So, but I really do owe Ron Kriz an enormous debt of gratitude because he was working in sort of that publisher parish kind of faculty position where you had to do sponsored research and you had to do publications and all the other stuff that I didn't have to do as administrative faculty. And yet he shared the spotlight with me to allow me to then distinguish myself in what I was doing in order to be able to get to the next level. And, it's an amazing opportunity. And it's one of those kind of things where in a lot of these mentor videos, you'll see that different people have given me an opportunity to get a hand up into another opportunity or to level up. And I admire and respect and appreciate, and I love them for it. It's always taken somebody to do that. And so that's the kind of opportunities that I'm looking for now in terms of what I'm going to do for the next 10, 15, 20 years, as long as I'm able, is to really look for ways to help other people level up. As my new website says, it's your future, take control of it. And I think that helping people level up is the way I want to do that. New website's at gordonmiller.com. But the opportunities that are out there really require a mentor in the position that they are to really kind of make an introduction or to lay the groundwork or the foundation for things. And so I'm very lucky that I had the opportunity to do that. And I just want to say thanks, Ron. Dr. Kriz was an amazing contribution to my overall success early on. And a lot of my success that I've had in the last 26 years after, since then, is really thanks to that. So thanks, Ron.